Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Current Podcast, coming to you pre-recorded from Sorgatron Media in beautiful downtown Beachview. Why are we pre-recorded? Because somebody has the nerve to go on vacation.
Sorg.
Yeah, Sorg. It's the Sorgs. No, but we're happy to be here today. I have a very special guest. Some of you may know him. You may have heard of him. You may even read his paper. Ladies and gentlemen, my partner in crime, my work partner for life, the one and only, Mr. Charlie Deitch.
Bethany, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Thanks for coming on your own podcast.
It's a nice,
I really
studio
appreciate
that you have.
Thank you. Thank you. I understand you traveled all the way from half a block away to be here with me
I
today.
did. I enjoyed your Muddy Cup, I believe is the name of the establishment.
We do have our local coffee establishment. We are not sponsored by them, but if they want to sponsor us, call me. So today we're just going to look back, man. Our very first podcast we ever did, which is over a year ago now, was just me and you.
Yeah.
And we haven't had one like that since. So, and we didn't get a guest lined up. So we're like, you know what? Screw it. We're just gonna wrap.
I like that idea of just, sort of a state of our relationship. You don't know this, but we have a couples counselor coming in, and they're going to help us work through some things.
With our work marriage. He's kidding.
My platonic life partner.
Everything. We're going to have a work baby to try to keep it together. Well, so let's talk about, let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
A very good place to start. Mike, if you want to cue up our very first cover by the immensely talented DJ Kaufman, who does a local comic for us.
Secret Forces.
And he also has done a couple covers. He did our Blue Wave cover, which is also amazing. The absolute best two things about that issue was the cover and the fact that it existed.
Yes. We ask you if you have a copy of that, to not open it. Please do not peruse the pages.
There were some design issues.
Well, there are also, if somebody ever, please, if you're one of those grammar folks, please don't count the typos and the mistakes and send them in, because they were bountiful. Mm-hmm. It was a bounty of errors. But that was just a weird, we knew, Bethany and I knew for over a month or so, about a month, that we were going to put out a paper, but we didn't really start doing the heavy lifting on that until about the Thursday or Friday before.
Right before, yeah.
Yeah, and we turned and burned. We got it out. And
I think a lot of it was me just not being a newspaper person and not having that background. And I'm like, what do you mean you can't do this in a day? Like, how hard can it be? And then I see Charlie, like, trying to lay out pages, like, stroking out in front of me. I'm like, oh, this is more technical than I originally anticipated.
Yeah, and it was, we have everyone who worked on that issue was really, like, in for the cause. And that was the deal. They're dedicated, and, it was a lot of fun. But none of us really had page layout. I mean, I learned page layout on a system that doesn't even exist anymore, and so I had no idea
with a chisel.
What this Cork Express. So it kind of was that kind of thing. So I had no idea, and it was a new thing, and realizing I know my part of putting out a paper, but then everyone else's part, no, I had no clue. But I am confident that although there would be the same amount of typographical errors, I'm pretty confident I could lay it out by myself now if I had 10 days.
Oh, if you had 10 days. We don't have 10 days to do anything. But in all honesty, I'm still immensely proud of that issue. The fact that we, from concept to distribution, did it in 6 weeks speaks volumes, I think, to how dedicated we were and how dedicated the people were that were working with us. And I'm so grateful for everybody. I mean, 95% of those people are still along for the ride with us in one way or the other. The other couple we won't talk about. But no, everybody's wonderful. And I'm really proud of that. And I love looking at that issue weirdly and then looking at our current issue and like just seeing how far we've grown.
Yeah.
And I think, and I don't think a lot of people thought we'd be here a year later.
No. I mean, I think, did you? I think I did.
But
we were too stupid to know that we could fail.
I'm just too cocky to think that we weren't going to be here. I was like, damn right we are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It will be bigger and better. And it turns out, can we talk about this for a second?
Yeah, please.
We are?
We are.
media audit is our industry standard in terms of counting readership. And Charlie, if you want to maybe kind of talk about that for a second.
The Pittsburgh, so the media audit is they audit different metro areas. So they audited the Pittsburgh media region, and as it was told to us, we found out you existed right before we started the audit. So we threw you in there just to kind of get a feel for what this was, and it turns out that what we were and are is the third most read publication in the city of Pittsburgh, behind only the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and the Pittsburgh Magazine.
Yeah. Well, actually, the not so daily Post-Gazette, because we actually are bigger than their Thursday magazine. We're bigger than all of their, I believe, almost except for their Sunday, we're bigger than all of their other issues. Yeah,
well, a lot of them, their dailies are still pretty well read. The days that they come out. And again, this is the only paper you can pick up on a Tuesday in the city of Pittsburgh. So I was really surprised to see that, and not only where we were, but then there's a good gap between the field and these numbers were very enlightening, and not just the readership numbers, but those were great, obviously. But when Bethany and I started this, people at least 25 times a day asked us, "Are you fucking crazy?" And that's a quote for starting a print publication. And I had always believed that print was not dead. The method of producing print was obsolete, and who was producing print was part of the problem. And I managed to convince Bethany of that, and we were right. And one of the things anecdotally that we thought we saw, that we did see, was that younger folks were reading print, and nobody believed us. However, if you're we basically own a demographic between 18 and 30. We're the best in the city in those numbers. 18 to 21. We have an astounding number of readers for a group of people that don't read print. We have a lot of those readers, and we have far more of those readers than any other publication. And that's what I'm most proud of, because those are the consumers that are going to carry us forward.
They're going to keep picking us up, reading it, telling their friends about it, And my reply when people said print's dead, are you crazy? I'm like, well, just because somebody hasn't been able to figure out how to do it right recently doesn't mean it's dead. It just means they're wrong.
Right.
And we just have to find a way to be right. And I feel like we really did that, obviously. And I think these numbers play that out. So, we've got to bump up again our print for next issue. We're getting ready to put out 15 new street boxes, and we're just growing. We can't print enough papers right now to keep them in the hands of the people that want to read it, and that's an amazing problem to have, in my opinion.
Right, and we're not resting on our laurels. We're since we hit the 1 year mark there, give or take. We've been sort of looking and evaluating, like, what can we do differently? How can we streamline this process? How can we hit more locations, or how can we maximize our locations? How can we expand? And we've had quite a bit of expansion, particularly digitally.
Yes.
And as Bethany is our digital guru, we started with this podcast just because we thought, well, we should have a podcast. And I think we knew we wanted to grow it a little bit, but due much to the tenacity of young Jake Mislivchik, our
visuals editor,
editor extraordinaire. He built he fashioned he painted some pallets, and then he and your boyfriend Casey, they put it together, hung it in the office, and we started just doing concerts in there.
So I was interviewing Tim Gaber at Pittsburgh Winery for the story I just did on the 90s rock scene in Pittsburgh, and he's like, you guys, you've got those pallets in the back. You have all the bands on. I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh my God. He's like, I've totally seen a couple of the bands that played there. He's like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of, dare I say, iconic look that we're developing.
Yes.
Soon to be iconic.
It's the Tiny Pallet concert series. Watch out, NPR. Here we come.
Here we come. Barking at your
we've had
heels.
A lot of great local bands on there, well-known local bands. And then we've had some that we had a band. The last band we had was, and we can do one of these deals where we talk about our favorite things. But we just had a local band on from Greensburg called Kalber, and I judged a Battle of the Bands contest with them a couple of years ago, and I believe they got the hose a little bit, but the band that won is also very good and was a member, or was a guest on our podcast as well.
The inaugural, if you're talking about Chase and the Barons is our very first concert series. Love those guys.
But they were great, and they mainly play around the Greensburg area, and they're trying to make inroads here, and they're just a really good rock outfit. But my favorite, without question, is the night that we had Inez in. Inez is a local, and you really can't pigeonhole Inez into a genre, but it's to say it's sort of soulful R&B, but then there's some hip hop, some rhyme in there, and she brought her full band, and they were fantastic. And then she also brought the great Clara Kent.
We're going to be getting Clara on real soon.
Clara,
email me, baby.
Clara will be coming on the Contra series very soon. Clara is amazing, but Inez was just, and that was my favorite. And then when we stopped, and Jake was, so we were sort of wrapping down, the band just started jamming, and so we then recorded just like this really great, just a really great band. And
well, so. I think part of the charm of having Inez in is something that happened with us last night. We just had trouble, NLS and DJ NLS Ron, and so we're live when we do these, and there was this comment, a couple comments from this woman Anita, like, that's my grandson. So when they were done and we were wrapping, I'm like, all right, whose grandmom's Anita? And Trouble's like, oh, that's mine. I'm like, she's freaking adorable. She's losing her mind that she got to see you. And he's like, she's never been out to see a club show, and she probably never will be able to. He's like, this was the only time she's ever seen me live. I'm like, wow, like that. Like I'm tearing up a little now. Like, I mean, I'm a mom and my grandma too, but that's for a different podcast. But but like that, how meaningful. Like, it's not just putting great music out there and highlighting local artists. It's giving accessibility to people to see some of their favorite bands that they might not otherwise have. And I never even really, Brittany Chantel and I talked about it a little bit when she was on, but it was really driven home to me yesterday. I know you said Inez had the same thing too.
Yeah, Inez, when she was coming on, she asked if she could bring some of her family because she was about to do a huge show, Pittsburgh's Finest Volume 2 or Pittsburgh's Greatest Volume 2. It was featuring all black female singers, and it was going to be an amazing show at Mr. Small's, but it was a Pittsburgh's very own number 2. Sorry. But it was a standing room only show, and she had a lot of elderly family who couldn't make it. So she said, could they come down? And I said, yeah, we have room. They brought probably 15 or 20 people in. We made room. We got our couch out, and it was really great. It was great to have a live audience there. Obviously, I think she gave a even better performance because there were folks in the studio, and a lot of them came up to us afterwards and said, thanks for doing this because we wouldn't have been able to see her otherwise. So no, it's a really cool, it's a really neat thing that and I can't remember if I think that was a combination of you and Jake, your ideas, and that was something honestly, Jake.
Yeah, I don't even remember where that came from, to be honest with you.
Jake wants to be the next Berry Gordy if Jake knew who Berry Gordy was.
Yeah, which he doesn't. I did some really cute boomerangs of him yesterday. Like, it looks like he's an octopus. I'm like, if you watch our concert series and even, Sorg's obviously, the man behind the desk over here. Jake is up and coming, and it just amazes me how, if watching it, you'd think we had 3 people working it.
Yeah.
And it's just Jake. Let's talk about talent for a second.
It's a good segue.
Let's talk about Rob Rogers. Let's talk about Dan Savage. Let's talk about our amazing columnists. Let's talk about the people that come to us to write op-eds. Like, that's another thing that is, looking back over the past year, my jaw drops when I stop to think about it. We have some heavy freaking hitters that want to be a part of what we're doing.
Yeah, we put a couple of words out. Like, one word was, if you have an opinion that you want to write about it, as long as it's not offensive or like offensive for no reason, because of course opinions are always going to be offensive, but if it's just offensive for offensive sake, or it's just an outright fabrication, we do check these things. You can have we will give you the space to write your opinion. And actually, one of the first people to reach out to us was Chelsea Wagner, county controller. Chelsea Wagner, and it was after the Antoine Rose shooting. and because it hit her very personally. She has her husband is African American, her children are African American, and so she sees her children growing up in a city or in a region where something like this could happen. And she wrote a really stunning op-ed, I think, and we've had others since then, but then also we kind of put out a call for columnists. We were looking for columnists that had strong opinions and weren't afraid. And that's one of the things that we knew we had to do was really like have an unfiltered, sort of unfettered opinion. If somebody had it, they could put it out there. So, and that's what we did. So we have Sue Kerr, who the LGBTQ blogger with Pittsburgh Lesbian Correspondent.
Who won a National GLAAD Award,
National GLAAD
Award winning Sue Kerr.
We have Jess Semler has been one of the for those of you, I know a lot of people, especially in the activism community, especially if you deal with women's health, women's reproductive rights. Jess is Jess, and Jess has strong opinions. Jess has been keeping our comment section very busy on our Facebook and website.
It was so funny to watch the mansplainers come out to comment on her mansplaining article.
Right, she wrote a column about mansplaining, and then men had to write in to explain to her.
So we did a podcast back in June with Jess, Sarah Enamorado, and Navika Seta. I probably said that wrong. I'm so sorry, but called State of the Uterus, and we're going to do it again. So Jess and I are trying to pull together a schedule for that. But yeah, I mean, she's a powerhouse, and she's also up for and running for council in Etna
City Council.
Yeah, Etna City Council. Is it Borough Council? I think it is borough.
But we are not, of course, making an endorsement in that race.
We're not making an endorsement. I'm just saying.
You can read Jess's wonderful insights on all things in the Pittsburgh Current.
I'm just saying she's so active and so engaged. She's everywhere.
Yeah.
She's like air.
And then the political columnist situation has been one that's, bittersweet. We now have Kieran Young, political strategist, he ran against Ricky Burgess for city council in the spring and almost won. But Kieran is now our political columnist, and that we're glad to have him, obviously. But unfortunately, that happened because our OG columnist Ariana Behringer, and Ariana has done distribution for us out in her area, out near Monroeville and such. She's been a really important part of getting this thing started, and but she has a wonderful job. I would say her dream job is she's director of Veterans Affairs at the University of Pittsburgh, and again, one of those jobs where you're dealing with a lot of different people and. You can't really have your opinion on too many things out there, and we totally understand. But
absolutely, I mean, I understand Pitt's stand on that. I understand where Ariana's coming from. I'm glad we had her for as long as we did, and she'll always be OG fam.
There may be another way for her to contribute in that.
She's one of my favorite people that I've gotten to meet through the process of this paper. So I love her.
So there are those folks, but then let's just talk about the crew that works. And has worked because we had we were and I knew when we hit a year old people were gonna as we were still in the startup phase, some people were gonna be moving on and we wish them but it started out with editorially it started out with myself, Haley Frederick, Amanda Reed, and then a little bit later we brought in Jake. Just a few weeks later we brought in Jake Mislivchik, and Jake has been there since, like I said, almost since day one. Haley got a great job with the Elizabeth Glazier Pediatric AIDS Foundation in communications there in DC. Amanda, you can still read her stuff. We call her she's on the Magic Beat. I mean,
she's our magic
every
writer.
Every time a new magician comes to town, Amanda is over there getting sawed in half or whatever the hell.
And a roller coaster rider. Her and Jake did the steel curtain stuff.
And then the other just. We're pretty sad. Just recently, our art director Emily McLaughlin left for another position. One I'm assuming that paid her more than 3 shekels a week, and
we're about to balance up to 3.5 shekels.
Yeah.
So joke's on her. Ha ha. I'm just kidding. We love Emily.
Our stock is soaring.
Yeah.
No, Emily is you. When you see our paper today, that's because of Emily. And Emily
She cleaned up our act.
Oh, she did. Her organization skills and what she was able to do with. And again, I feel sometimes like I'm hard to work with. Not in that I'm not fun, but hard to work with in that I'll just say. That thing with the picture and the what you did that one time, and Emily would figure out what I was talking about.
She could translate you.
She could she spoke Charlie, and so but we have starting today new art director Larissa Stevens,
and I'm excited to meet her. We have a big staff meeting after this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get donuts. It's gonna be great.
Yes.
I wish you could be there, but
yeah,
it will have already happened by the time you
RSVP.
see this.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
So I want to make sure we got about like 15 minutes left. So I want to make sure. I also want to talk about an upcoming event that we have, which ties into our talent.
Yes.
Rob Rogers. We brought back Brood on Grant. We've syndicated Rob's national since we started because he got fired from the Post-Gazette right before
our first issue.
Right before our first issue. So we've been in touch with him since. He's been on our podcast before. And he, we approached him and we said, would you want to do an original political cartoon
like a year ago?
Yeah. And he's like, I have been like Brood on Grant is not just a cartoon he does. It's a piece of him.
Yeah.
And he had been dying to like let that piece back out. And we're like, absolutely, let's do it. So Monday, September 16th from 9 to noon, we are going to do a Brood on Grant pop-up coffee shop at the Portico at the City County building with Rob, and we're going to invite some special guests, and everybody's invited to come and say hi to Rob and grab a cup of coffee. Sarah Walsh at oh shoot, I can't remember the name of it.
Cafe.
Hold on, Charlie's going to look it up while I continue to pimp the event. She's our fantastic coffee sponsor and a big friend of the paper.
I've known Sarah a while too. This is embarrassing.
It's okay, we'll get it. But you can stop by. You can meet Rob. You can, I think we'll be maybe even handing out some juice boxes. So it's
those of you that follow the strip know the significance of that.
So how about, can I tell him who I tried to reach out to?
Yeah, please. And if he's listening.
If you're listening, Luke Ravenstall, we invited you. I tried to email you at People's Gas and it bounced back. Rob was a little hard on Luke when Luke was mayor. Rightly so. So. Okay, we won't say hard on. He was very spot on when Luke was mayor.
Cafe D'Amore.
The wonderful Sarah Walsh from Cafe D'Amore, which you should all check out if you haven't yet. We will have Cafe D'Amore coffee on hand. Working on a goodie sponsor, so we should have some goodies too. But it's going to be great. Come and say hi to Rob, and we're popping up a coffee shop to celebrate Brood on Grant.
Do you want to spin this off into a What's Wrong with Luke Ravenstall podcast when he was mayor? Because I could do that right now.
We could. Well, no. I mean, is it the bologna at the stripper's butt on Ron Burkle's jet?
No. Listen,
okay.
I deal in what I can prove.
Oh, you're talking about the political stuff. And I'm strictly rumor mill. That's just my aesthetic.
If there's a bologna on the butt story, Bethany's got it.
But we've been doing a lot of parties. We started off with Feria at Annex Brewing in Homestead.
It's kind of our feeler event, for toe in the water.
Yeah, our big event. Like we've done like some happy hours and stuff like that. But this is our first ticketed event. It was great. 130 some people. Wonderful food. The owner's family is actually of Spanish descent. He made this kick-ass paella. With Latin dancing, Latin music. Basically, Feria is like a Spanish spring festival.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be doing it again with them. I'm meeting with Lavinia from Enix, and we're actually talking about closing off the street and making it more of like a festival. Yeah. And I'm real excited. Just one more event I want to preview. We haven't even launched this yet. Hopefully by the time this airs next week, we'll have it stood up. But we're doing a big repeal day party. Thursday, December 5th. From 7 to 10 at the Speakeasy at Max's Allegheny. If you don't know what Repeal Day is, it's the day they ended Prohibition, which is why you're all allowed to buy alcohol legally now. And we're going to have just a really cool, funky 20s kind of inspired event. So more to follow on that. But
I might wear one of those flapper dresses.
I actually was hoping you would.
I will.
And pass out the bathtub gin.
Yes.
Yes, that's my hope.
I will bathe in bathtub gin.
Yes, Charlie will be in
the bathtub. That'll be the easiest way to serve.
Here you go. So we're looking forward to that. So mark your calendars, Thursday, December 5th, and we're gonna have an after party, a super secret speakeasy.
I think I got a little more gin under here. Wait a second.
That's not gin.
But also, talking of parties, you
Yes.
should also mention the birthday party that almost wasn't.
Oh, yes. Our best year ever. So Charlie could not be at our first year birthday party.
Very
We called it
upset.
best year ever because he was representing very well, I might add,
Thank
the
you.
Pittsburgh Current at the annual AND conference. All things considered, Charlie,
And that's the
very
Association of
incredibly proud
Alternative
of you.
News
Yes,
Weeklies.
Association of Alternative News Weeklies. So Bethany, I talk about myself in third person when I get upset. I was solo for this, and literally it was like 300 people, 4 bands, food, drinks, all this. Literally at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Sarah Called me. Sarah works for us. She's our marketing and admin guru. I'm up at the office putting out signs. She's like, we have a problem. The fire marshal's here, and our venue is operating illegally, and we're not allowed to have
Yeah.
a party. And I'm like, well, that's a problem. So there was a parking lot across the street. Netflix was filming Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Netflix was kind enough to move their rigs out of the way. And I called my girl Tanya, the event planner, I can't remember the name of her company, but she's amazing. I'll put it in the comments. We got lights, we got rafters, we got seats. We moved everybody over to the parking lot. And that's how we had our first year party on the set of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yeah. Which
But we
worked
did it.
out
We
better
pulled it.
anyway.
It worked out, but it was amazing. And we had a great time. We had some great bands: Victoria Fire, Mom on Dawn, Identity X. Who was the other band that was there? I still have PTSD from that. But yeah. So anyway, it was amazing.
Sierra Sellers.
Sierra Sellers. Jesus Christ! How could I forget Sierra? She closed out the
Sierra
night and we sang
closed-
Happy Birthday. And she
yeah.
blew out the candles. Sierra, love you, babe. Yeah. So it was a fantastic party. Truly one of the most stressful days of my life. I was sunburned. I did not plan on being out in a parking lot directing people for 5 hours. But at 7:30, the lights were up, the music was on, the food was out, the drinks were flowing. And if you didn't know that's not where it was supposed to be, you wouldn't have known that wasn't where it was supposed to be.
I've
So
currently
I
seen
felt
it.
like it was a very apropos way to celebrate our first year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It tracked.
With a shit show turning into a bouquet.
With a shit show
of
turning into
roses.
something gorgeous.
Yeah, I was on trial at that time, so I couldn't attend.
Yeah. That's for another podcast. Oh, it will get brought up.
So we've had a pretty eventful year, and there's
Yeah.
1,000 things.
Well, we've got the
That we
Jim
didn't
Crenn
talk
No
about.
Restrictions podcast.
Oh yeah, Jim
now.
Crenn, for crying out loud. Yeah, Jim Crenn is
well,
on
yeah.
board with us. Kevin Stevens, Pittsburgh Penguins legend Kevin Stevens is.
Yep.
We are the home of the Crosscheck podcast, the Pittsburgh home of
Yep.
the Kevin Stevens Crosscheck podcast, which will be coming. We'll be shooting locally.
Yeah, we'll be shooting locally at the end of
Later this
at the end
month.
of this month. Yeah, it's September.
Kevin
Yeah.
will be coming to town. We're going to do a live podcast.
Yep.
And we're pretty excited about that. And we're pretty excited about a lot of the stuff.
Well,
that
Michelle
is
James.
going on. Oh, and
Sex with Michelle James.
Sex, comma. We have to
Sex,
put-
comma with Michelle James premieres. We're actually filming 2 new episodes September 17th with her, but the first episode premieres September 19th at P-Town on Baum Boulevard. We're having a party. Michelle will be there. We're premiering the podcast. We're having a launch party. There'll be some drink specials, and it's followed by karaoke. So if you know me at all, you know that you're going to not want to miss this party.
And
so September 19th at P-Town, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
7 to 9 is the launch party, and then the karaoke follows.
And we assume everyone knows who Michelle James is.
Yeah, Michelle
but
James.
She's up and coming adult film actress who did our podcast. I believe Sorg, one of the most downloaded podcasts that we had,
Which
by
is
a long shot.
I'm shocked by that.
Yeah, what a young
Just
girl.
kidding.
Why would a young girl in pigtails and a hoodie? Why would that do well?
I had a super hot chick. A lot of guys asking if we need co-host help that day.
Oh yeah. There's some creepy questions that day.
It was fun. It was fun. Yeah, but
Do you
she's
date your fans? Was probably one of the most.
in the most hopeful tone ever.
Yes.
No, she honest to God is one of the sweetest people.
Michelle is
She's
great.
become a friend. I mean, I consider
Yeah.
her a friend, and I'm really proud of her, and I'm really proud of the podcast.
Yeah.
So I think tune in. I mean, it's going to be not exactly what you think. It is actually really informative and really positive.
Yeah.
So I hope even if that's not your cup of tea, you give it a chance.
Give it a look. Yeah.
Yeah, or just start drinking tea. Stop. Like, suck it up. Grab a cup of tea. Drink
Yeah.
it.
Give it a try.
Yeah, give it a try. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about that
There are
podcast.
lots of things happening.
Yeah.
At the Pittsburgh Current, the third most read publication in the city of Pittsburgh.
That's right, and the most popular alt publication in the city of Pittsburgh.
The most popular alt publication in the city.
the most read.
the
alt
most
publication.
read. We will say that the
Yeah.
most read
Yeah. I don't want anybody calling the president accusing us of misquoting numbers.
All weekly. Save your complaints, sir. You know who I'm talking to.
Put a box outside.
Yeah.
You can stuff it with your complaints. So Mike, I've had a lot of coffee this morning.
We're gonna need some edits, Mike.
No, we're not, Mike. I'm gonna send you some links, Mike. Poor Mike. Mike Sorg has been here since day one. If
yes,
he's been a part. I wish we could like swing a camera. He's like the Robin to our Howard.
There have been many times. What was the podcast where I think it was Rob Rogers' first time and he was live from Florida and I was so late. Was that the one?
Yeah, that's when
Sorg
you
was out on the sidewalk.
No, I was on the sidewalk.
You were on the
and
sidewalk.
you almost tripped and fell into me. I'm like, this is going to go badly.
I tripped, going up the steps or up to the curb. But I have a lot of car problems and I will admit now that I've just oversleep. But anytime I'm late,
related to his car.
Anytime I'm late in the future, I'm in traffic.
Okay, got it. Well, my favorite Sorg moment was when we were doing the state of the uterus and we were done and like we all just started talking about periods. And he was just like, oh, geez.
Yeah, no. Mike and Missy have been great. It's been a great, and that's one of the things too.
Missy's the head that you see sometimes over the shoulder. There she is. I told her she has to start wearing hats, funny hats, if she's going to be on camera. Little bobbleheads. There you go. Little aliens.
And that's one thing that we've had a part. We did an event with the Incline. We did a great event. We look for partnerships.
We do. The Incline. We did the election at watch party, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
hopefully we'll be able to
partner
with somebody, or them or somebody again. I'm all about partnerships. I think.
Yeah, city council race. We should definitely do one for this fall.
Yeah, I think both of our personal opinions is there's a big enough market for everybody. You know, there's a big enough sandbox, and when we all band together, we all have strengths, right? I mean, I don't think anybody could touch our arts coverage. We've got Ted Hoover, we got Steve Saccato, like we got Amanda Reed, the exclusive premier magic writer in the city of Pittsburgh,
Nick Eustace, who is a find, by the way. And that's what I knew Amanda when I brought her in. I've known Ted and Steve for years, but when you find like young talent like Nick Eustace and other writers that we've found, and initially it was just out of need. We needed writers who were.
Speaking of Nick, by the way, because Nick covered Fresh Fest. Let's talk about Dave Bracey for a second. How flippin' amazing Dave Bracey is. He supported us. He actually headlined and helped us pull together our fundraiser at Hard Rock when we first started. We have office furniture thanks to that man. And then we asked him to come on. Yeah, we asked him to come on as our craft beer columnist, which he did. And he's been killing it. Watching his writing progress has been amazing. He is a natural. Yeah. And he's got his own successful podcast, Drinking Partners. And he's one of the founders of Fresh Fest, the country's only black beer festival. And I was there, and it was amazing. Yeah, it's phenomenal. The work that Dave's doing both for the paper and on his own is second to none. The guy he's a treasure.
And speaking of that fundraiser, Mike Wasaki was the headliner of that, and I've known Mike since our early days together. I've told Mike this story. Mike was foisted upon me by previous management when we were both working for different arms of Steel City Media. And I thought, what the hell does this comedian know about sports? It turns out
he knows
a lot, and he's just, the way he writes is just engaging. And Mike's been covering the Pirates for us, and expect Mike expect more contributions from Mike. He's just a good dude. So.
Well, speaking of sports, we're going to kind of have to wrap this up because you've got our actual podcast, which will actually be on before this one. So by the time you see this one, that won't be on.
Let's do this. Bethany, did you see the podcast last week with Bob Pompiani?
Who booked that for you?
I think you did.
I did. No, just kidding.
But it was great. It was very insightful. I felt like I had never been better on this show.
You looked amazing, and so did Bob. Great. That velvet voice fox.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Coincidentally, I was wearing this shirt.
Get out of town. Was Missy also sitting behind you not wearing a hat?
She was.
Oh, my God. It's crazy.
Right. Missy won't have a hat on for 2 weeks, I'm guessing.
The third week. Bobblehead. No, we could probably do a whole other podcast based on this. Yeah. Charlie, I can't think of anybody else I'd rather take this crazy ass ride with than you.
Same.
Maybe George Clooney.
Absolutely.
But I'm so excited for what's coming up.
Yeah, I'd rather have
Fall Guy coming out.
I'd rather have Clooney too.
Yeah, no offense. That's okay. You can have what's his whom. I'm excited for the Fall Guide. I'm excited for our event in December. I was just excited for everything, and just everything's coming up our way, and I'm feeling it.
If you'd like to, I see something's going on behind.
Yeah, you know what? By the time you see this, the Irish Fest would have already happened.
Yes, right.
Thrival's coming up. Make sure you check out Thrival.
I know. I do want to say that our fall guide is coming out. There's still time, despite the fact that this isn't airing till next week. There's still time if you want to advertise in a great guide in the third most read print publication in the city of Pittsburgh. We're
going to be ramping up about 5,000 more issues. So our circulation's going up to almost 40 now.
So you can email Paul at pittsburghcurrent.com or Andrea at pittsburghcurrent.com, and they will take care of you. And you're going to watch. This is I think this is going to be one of our bigger issues of the year.
It's going to be a big deal. Very big deal.
Yeah.
We're a big deal.
Well,
yeah, kind of.
We're number 3.
We're number 3.
We're number 3, and that ain't bad.
But it's not bad. Could be worse. We could be less than that.
Yes, we could.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. This was not live, so you cannot ask us questions, which is a good thing because we talked about some things that we probably shouldn't have, but that's okay. We love it. We love you guys. Thank you for reading us. Thank you for watching us. And we'll do this again soon. I think quarterly, Charlie, we should sit down and do this.
Yes, we should have this. Will not be the state of the uterus, but we'll do a state of something else.
I won't. I'll think of a good U word.
Bye.
Bye.
Pittsburgh, a better alternative. Giving Pittsburgh a better alternative. Giving Pittsburgh a better alternative.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.